So apparently we're in July and June is coming on. I don't know where because I had no clue today was the 1st of July. And I firstly wanted to do a book review for the Goodreads. So this month I've read 2 series and 2 standalones, for which I've already done a book review, so I'm not going to go into details about those. And they are The Invisible Life of Eddie LaRue and Neon Gods. So I'm just going to say that I recommend both of those books. The Neon Gods, I gave it 5 stars because it's amazing. Victory, I loved everything about that book. The Invisible Life of Eddie LaRue, I gave it 4 stars because it's a bit slow paced in the beginning, so keep that in mind because it gets better and it's an amazing book. But if you're like me and you need to be invested in the story for the first chapter, then maybe you want to keep in mind that you have to be a bit patient with it. However, I'm going to go into details for the 2 series that I've read, which are the Folk of the Air series and the Cursebreaker series. So, okay. The first one, I just have to say that thank God that I listened to my dear friend recommending me this book because I love them. However, when I first started reading it, The Cruel Prince, it was a bit meh. So for those of you who have not read these books and don't know what they are about, they're basically the story of these 3 mortal girls, sisters, but especially I don't know, it's just the middle one, I don't know, okay. So when we talk about fairies in this one, do not think about Tinkerbell because no, but think about the fairies as creatures who cannot lie, but that doesn't mean that they cannot deceive and be dishonest because they are. And there is also a lot of violence in these books and in fairy, not in Old Flame, in general. So keep that. So basically, we follow the story of Jude and his sisters and how they learn to survive in this place that is very, very hostile towards mortals. And so the first book is called The Cruel Prince, and it definitely lives up to his name. So Cardan is not nice, neither is Jude, but Cardan definitely is not nice. There's a sub-theme of bullyism and, well, lots of other things, but the main thing about the first book is this theme, the way Cardan and the other fairies reacts and behave towards Jude and Taryn, her twin sister. Without spoiling the other 2 books, the Wicked King and the Queen of Nothing, one thing you have to know is that Jude is ambitious, she's stubborn, she's cunning, she's intelligent, she's amazing, she's a badass. So we follow her through her journey to power, to finally grab and earn a position for herself inside the Elflame, and in particular in the High Court. So when I first started reading The Cruel Prince, my opinions were very different from now, because I was not so sure about Cardan, to be honest. I don't enjoy, of course, bullies, and the theme that I had a shitty childhood, that I take my frustrations onto others and be cruel unnecessarily towards other people, but somehow it's okay because it's my way of dealing with my trauma. No. No. So in the first book, that's what it looked like in regards to Cardan's character. And in a way, it's like this, in a sense that we have to, of course, contextualize, and so we have to remember that Cardan is a fairy. Cardan is not only a fairy, but is a fairy prince who has been brought up around the concept of cruelty and violence to catch the attention of his mother, basically. And also you're going to see in the first but also in the second book, I believe, how exactly was his life, because he lives with his brother Balaking, and it's not nice. His brother is not nice. So again, it doesn't make what he does to Jude and her sisters any better, any justifiable. But don't worry, Jude is going to avenge herself, and he's not going to let him forget what he did to her, to them. So but just it's important to remember that they are fairies, and their world is so very different from ours in the sense of what is considered right and wrong. And moreover, the thing about Cardan is that he is not moved so much by hate, but by the opposite, and he doesn't know how to deal with this. So again, it doesn't make anything that he does in the first book any better, but it helps to understand why he did those things. And also, I think it's important to mention that as much as Cardan is cruel and unlikable in the first book, so is Jude. Jude is the kind of main character who is annoying and who it's hard to like at first, but she definitely grew on me. I think she's my favorite, and it's a she's a really good character, and so is Cardan, but for two very different things. And okay, can we just appreciate the fact that Cardan, who is a prince, okay, is basically useless with a sword. He doesn't know how to fight, he's not good at it. But Jude, on the other hand, Jude is majestic. Jude has the skills of a warrior. And really, I cannot express with words just how much I've enjoyed this reversed role. To see someone who, and to be fair, Cardan isn't a masculine aesthetic. He wears makeup, and he wears, he's extravagant and eccentric, and we love that. We love that. But also, Jude is fearless. Jude is the very definition of warrior, but she's also very skilled in the military strategy. We have to thank Marduk for this. But it's one of the things I most enjoyed about these characters. And also, listen, Cardan is a simp. Cardan is so much a simp for her. And they start as enemies, okay, so they're enemies to lovers, and they actually enemies to lovers excellence, okay. Honestly, every interaction they have is filled with so much angst and tension, especially in the last books. Okay, no, I don't want, okay, but I already said they're enemies to lovers, so we know. But especially in the two books where they are kind of figuring out that they feel something for each other even though they don't want to, because they hate each other. It's so good. It's so good to see how they are made for each other, they understand each other, they fit, and how much they fight these feelings and their relationship. It's honestly. So I'm going to shut up about Jude and Cardan, because I could talk about them for hours. I just want to say that Cardan is not useless, okay? He has his strengths and he learns from Jude a lot. But the truth is that the star of this book, of this series, is Jude. So, And Cardan is not bad about it. He is the first one to support Jude. He's the first one to be willing to lay everything he has for Jude. So, leaving them aside, the series is filled with morally great characters, and it's also filled with a lot of sisterly love, even though Tarin, we don't like Tarin, okay? We do not betray our sister like that for a man, okay? We do not. Without making any spoilers, the reason why I don't like Tarin personally is because when we first met these characters, we understand the importance of the bond between the sisters, but especially between the twins, because Jude and Tarin are twins. And so they basically are, it's me and you against the world, against the fairies in this case. And Tarin suddenly decides that that doesn't matter anymore, because of course a man comes along and men are more important than our sisters. Please. But also, okay, I'd say that if you like military strategy, political situation, because there are a lot of political coups and betrayals, morally great characters, women with daggers and swords, and yeah, if you like those things, and also if you like Six of Crows, because Jude gives a lot of cast vibes, to be honest, then you're going to like this book. And I've seen a lot of criticism about this series regarding the writing, and I agree that the writing is more simple than if I don't know, if I compare it to Eddie LaRue. But the thing is, I think the focus of this book are the characters and the plot, because there's a lot of action, and the characters, every character you meet in the series is fully characterized and is complex, and is so a personality and everything, and a background that is mentioned. So there has been made a lot of work into creating these characters. And so yeah, the writing is not as eloquent and elegant as Eddie LaRue, but in Eddie there's not the same kind of action, and even the characters, because let's be honest, in Eddie we have 3 main characters and that's it, while here we have a group of characters equally interesting in their own. So as you can see, I really like this series, even though at first I was a bit hesitant, but it definitely grew on me, and it gets better. The third book is the best in my opinion. I liked it the best, and I definitely recommend it, of course. I've been fangirling about these books for I think last half an hour. So okay, moving on to the next series that I read this month is the Cursebreaker series. It's a trilogy, and the first one is A Curse So Dark and Lonely, so maybe you have heard of it. Now this series is your usual Beauty and the Beast retelling, so you know what you're going to read and what you're going to the kind of tropes, the kind of action in a way you're going to find, and that's definitely right. That's what you find. Even though pretty sure everyone knows what Beauty and the Beast is about, I'm going to explain a bit of the plot just to be sure. So we find Ren, a prince of a magical land who has been cursed by a witch, even though they use another name for this character, Lilith. And of course the curse is to be broken only by true love, and if he doesn't find this girl, every season he turns into a beast. The thing is that in this book he doesn't turn into the same kind of beast, but every time is different, but it's always as a vicious one who has no recollection of himself, and so he goes on a killing spree basically. And that leads us to the beginning of the story, where in this castle we only find Ren and Grey, who is his guardsman. Grey has the task of finding this girl, and he is also the only one who is capable of crossing the veil into the mortal world, because I've said that this is set into a magical world outside, where somewhere but in another dimension in a way. Okay, so our world is divided from this magical land by a sort of veil that only Grey can access. So every season he goes into the mortal world in Washington DC in particular to find a girl, and he brings her back, and if the curse is not broken, so it means that the girl does not love Ren, then he takes them back. And that's how we are introduced to Ren and the curse. And then we are introduced to the main character who is Harper. But the thing is that Harper was not meant to be the girl that Grey brought back to Amberfell. It was a misfortune for him to have walked across Harper, because it looked like he was kidnapping this girl, which basically was doing, but for the right cause, I guess. And so Harper, who was around for a whole other reason, sees them and takes it upon herself to save this girl. And so Gray ends up with taking Harper back. I guess you can all see where this is going, but the thing that makes me wary of Beauty and the Beast retellings is how the whole kidnapping and Stockholm syndrome situation. And I believe that this one was handled really well, because Harper does not make it easy on Ren. She doesn't want to be in Amberfell. She has family on the other side, so in Washington DC, but she has a very particular situation back at home, which makes it even more pressing for her to return. At the same time, she starts to feel at home at Amberfell because she has a role to play. She starts to care about the people, about the situation, because during the course, the reign of Amberfell has fallen into poverty, and she sets out to take care of this. So as much as Belle falls in love with the prince, she does so forsaking her family, because she has a family. Harper does not. Harper's love for Ren does not require her to forsake her family, or actually, maybe at the beginning it did, because the curse was that she had to stay in Amberfell, but things evolve in a way that she doesn't have to. Can't stand the fact that a girl has to lose everything she has and the people she loves for what? For a man? No. And so does Harper. So one of the reasons why I liked her. But also, I think it's important that, to mention that Harper has a physical disability. She has cerebral paralysis, I think it's pronounced, and so it's important to have this kind of representation in books, and also the way she deals with it, and how she and how her her condition does not how she is not her condition, and how she just has to learn to do everything with it. So I really liked it, because it's not every day that you find a book with this kind of representation, or this kind of MC basically. And also Harper is very stubborn and very proud also, and strong-minded, so we like her. So as much as I've enjoyed this book, I read it fairly quickly, and because the writing flows very easily, it did not make me go wow, or it did not make me hang up on it like the Folk of the Year series did. But it even got worse in the second book, and I'm going to explain why. The thing is, I expected to keep reading about Ren and Harper's new balance. That's not what you're going to find in the second book, because the second book is about Grey and another character who is introduced in the second book, was called Liamara. So I'm not going to say anything, even though it's not related to the first book, because they are literally new characters. But in a way, I should have seen this coming, in a sense that the first book ends with a plot twist and a cliffhanger, even though you can really see it coming when you're reading the first book, and if you read it, or if you have read it, you know what I'm saying. But I felt like the second book was a bit slow, and the fact that I did not find Ren and Harper's in it kind of bummed me and made the whole experience a bit meh. However, in the second book, things pick up, because you find everyone. You find Ren and Harper, you find Grey and Yamara, and every other character that has been introduced in this first and the second book. And also there is a lot more action, and equally characters backgrounds or characters led stories. So it was the third book is the one that I liked best, because I felt it was the perfect combination of book 1 and book 2, in the sense of characters and their interactions, but also the action, so the plot. Because the second one, it was not exciting for me, at least, to read. Even though I like Grey, I don't have anything against Grey, and I like Liamara. I think she's my favorite because the thing about I like most about Liamara is that the thing she stands for and what she represents is kindness and compassion presented as strength. In a situation where she has been brought up to favor violence, I really appreciated that, and I think it's important to have this kind of characters where who literally says being kind and being compassionate is not a weakness. Being kind requires strength, even more so than being merciless and vicious, honestly. At the end of it all, I really enjoyed the series, and if the second book had more Ren and Harper in it, I wouldn't be as disappointed with it as I was, and I wouldn't have given the series 4 stars, I believe, no, maybe 3, because the first book was okay, even though it was not wow. For the plot, because I know that it is a retelling, so you know what is going to happen, but in every retelling there's something that changes and that makes it unique than the other, because even A Deal with the Elf King is a Beauty and the Beast retelling and also an 80s and Persephone retellings, but it's so very unique and different from the canon Beauty and the Beast that you appreciate it as if it wasn't. You almost forget that the author is playing with those tropes. But anyway, the thing with this is that exactly there's nothing different. Of course, it's a new place. Of course, the characters are different characterization, and Harper is not your typical Belle, which I liked. I liked Harper's character, but it was not enough to make me go wow. And maybe this was because I read this series after reading the Folk of the Air series and Young Gods, which were my favorite reads of this month, and I appreciate it so much that maybe I was stealing up of them to fully appreciate this series. I don't know, but anyway, it's not a bad series. I really enjoyed it and would recommend it, but to just be aware that the second book may be a bit slow. If you don't like Grey, well, you might have to read it through your teeth, because the second book literally has only Grey in it, even though it is worthwhile because Liamara is a really good character. But even so, if you are expecting to read more about Harper and Ren, you have to wait for book 3. So keep these things in mind. It's a good read. I enjoyed it. So yeah. And I just want to mention that the number of books you read does not mean you're not a good reader, a true reader, or whatever. We all have our obligations and our priorities. And as much as we would like to do nothing but read every day, all day, we cannot. So, that's okay. However much you've read, if you've not read it at all, if you read a lot, congrats. But it's okay, whatever number. So I hope that June has treated you well, and July is going to treat you even better. And see you in the next video, I guess.